Hi Stampers, it's Linda Schmidt with Stampin' with the Hounds. I have another video tutorial today. This is one that I was inspired by Gina Kay. She had done what's called the reverse stenciling technique. So it's super easy. You just need some coordinating ink pad colors, blending brushes, a stencil, and then some black ink. So the first card I did using this technique, it's actually a retired Stampin' Up stencil, but I keep a lot of my retired stuff, but it works great still with, because this is like that mermaid scales or like fish scales or a dragon scale stencil. And I did it with the Stampin' Up set Pure Magic, which has the mermaid, dragon, and Pegasus. So my sample I did, my first one I did, used the mermaid. And what I had done is I had done Highland Heather, Orchid Oasis, and Bermuda Bay were my ink pad colors. And then I did the black on top. So that kind of coordinates with that one. Today, we are going to do a different card. Same technique, but I'm going to switch up the colors. And I'm going to use the dragon from Pure Magic instead. So some of you know, I had spine surgery, which put me out on medical leave for 12 weeks. I am going into week 8 of recovery. This is probably the first week that I've been able to sit for an extended period of time. So imagine not stamping for 7 weeks. It was tough. So last week I had sat and inked up a bunch of images, and then I brought them upstairs and laid in bed and I colored. So I had all of these images colored prior. So now I'm going to be getting around to making my cards. So we're going to do the dragon today. So like I said, you want to have coordinating ink pad colors, 2 to 3. I am using the new in colors Parakeet Party and Tahitian Tide, plus one of our standard ink pads or ink colors, Coastal Cabana. So those are my 3. And then my black I'm using is the Memento Tuxedo Black. So you're first going to take a white piece of cardstock, and you want to open up your ink pads and have them ready to go. And I think, yeah, I'm going to do this in this order. Cardstock, I am doing, this one is actually 3.5 by 5 is my basic white, but it can be any size. This is just for my card. I'm just doing for that layering is what I wanted. So make sure that's what I'm doing. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And so we're going to go ahead and place this. And what helps is if you have our craft sheet, which is just like a little silicone mat, this does help kind of hold your cardstock in place. Plus, it helps with the stencil when you're doing it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually put the color on the cardstock. So I'm going to use our blending brushes. So I'm going to start with Parakeet Party. I'm just going to move a little bit of things here so I have a little bit more space. So I'm going to start with Parakeet Party. And I'm just going to start and just blend the green onto the top here. And I want this to be good and dark. So kind of add, a couple of layers of ink. Then I'm going to do Coastal Cabana. And when you start to blend, go ahead and layer on top of the Parakeet Party, because then you'll get like another color on top of that. And with the blending brushes, you want to make sure you're keeping pressure on that head, the brush head. So kind of keep your pointer finger on there so that you don't put a lot of pressure on this part of the brush and end up breaking it. And you're going to always be going in a circular motion. Okay, and then finally we're going to do Tahitian Tide. I'm just going to flip this. This kind of reminds me of when I first started with Stampin' Up 20 years ago. Tempting Turquoise. But this is a little bit, an updated version of it. A little bit brighter color. And again, kind of layer back into that Coastal Cabana. And get lots of color on here. And if you don't have the blending brushes, you can also just swipe the ink pad onto the cardstock. So direct to paper. You can also do that too. And I think that's kind of what Gina K did in her tutorial. Okay. So now once you have all that color on there, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to remove this for a minute. Swipe off my excess ink. Okay. Now you're going to take your stencil and I'm going to kind of go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use some washi tape. Any type of low tack tape. This is just some low tack mint tape that I have. So that's on the back side. That's just kind of holding my stencil in place. All right. So now we're going to add the black. So I'm just going to close these up so they're out of the way. And then once you're done blending, to clean your brushes, just rinse them in some cold water and then let them air dry. And that's all you need to do for that. And I do tend to keep certain colors. So like this is always my turquoise. I have a little marker on here. And then the green. And I had some like colored washi tape that I did for some of them, that some of these where they broke on them. But yeah, that's kind of like how I kind of do mine. Because otherwise they come 3 to a set when you get your blending brushes. All right, so now we're going to take, and we got our stencil over our inked up image. Now we're going to take the black and we're going to blend this over the entire cardstock. So kind of hold on to your stencil to make sure it's not moving around. Actually, maybe I'll do a little bit more tape just to hold this in place so it doesn't move around. All right, so we're just going to blend. And then I just kind of hold on to the stencil while I'm doing this just so it doesn't shift. And you want a good black, solid blending when you're doing this. So make sure your ink pad is inked up really good. If it's dried out, it's time to get the re-inker and re-ink your pads. I tend to re-ink my pads probably once a month just because I do a lot of stamping and certain colors I may end up inking more depending on what my classes are. Or a lot of people have been using it. I'll re-ink them right before class. Make sure that's good and black. All right. Then you'll want to carefully remove your stencil. And then to clean your stencil, all you do is, I just have a little Gladware container that's filled with water. And that's how I rinse it off. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I love it, love it, love it. All right, so we'll just remove that. We're just going to set this aside just to make sure that that's all dry. And then the craft sheet, I just have a little Norwex cloth that I just wipe. Again, just any type of, if you have a baby wipe or a washcloth, anything just to kind of clean your fingers off plus your mat. Okay, so now that is done. So we'll set that aside. So there is that reverse stencil. Isn't that cool? I just love it. So pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, like I said, I was going to be using the dragon. So I've already kind of stamped and colored my pieces. So I thought I would layer that parakeet party behind this. So again, this was my base that I stenciled on was 3.5 by 5. Then my coordinating layer is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. And then that's going to be layered onto just my standard A2 card size. And I did cut my card so that it was the portrait cut. So it was cut on the long side. So 4 1/4 by 11. I'm just going to layer this parakeet party onto the front. Oh, I wonder if I cut this wrong. Like I said, 7 weeks not stamping. Sometimes, oh no, that's right. So I probably just cut this wrong. That's okay. Because this is layered correctly. Yeah. That's all right. We'll just have this be, maybe I'll move it over this way a little bit. I'm off on my measurements a little bit, but we'll make it work. And then this will be attached on top of that parakeet party. This because that ink, you can see here I've got a lot of that black ink. It wasn't quite dry yet. So if you want to give it a quick shot with the heat gun just to make sure that that black ink is good and dry before you start handling it. All right, so we're going to set that aside. My pieces, so again, like I said, I already colored my dragon. I did the layering circle. I have a bunch of scraps. I had some retired black glitter, some foil paper, so I just did the layering circle dies and I put those together. And for the dragon, I wanted him to be breathing fire. So I went through my dies, and the celebration happiest hippos, that little grass or leaf thing, that's what I die cut out with some orange foil paper, and that's going to be my fire. Look at me being creative. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on this, and that'll be, so he's breathing fire. And then, because this is glitter paper, sometimes the adhesive doesn't always like the glitter. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop him up with some dimensionals. So I'm thinking if I'm doing, so we'll just do some dimensionals on here. Like that. And then my I Believe in You, so I already, this is from the stamp set. I stamped it in black onto Parakeet Party cardstock, and then I die cut it out. And then I'm just going to use some tear and tape because it's, again, it's a little bit stronger adhesive. And I'm going to just tuck this a little bit underneath that dragon. And then on my card, we'll go like, shift that down a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and put some adhesive on here. I'm just doing the tear and tape just because sometimes I just want to make sure this isn't going to pop off. So this is a super strong tape. we'll just kind of offset this a little bit. Go. And then my inside, we'll go ahead and stamp our dragon. Do him in that parakeet party. I'm just going to kind of put him down here in the corner. And then we'll do the same in that Tahitian Tide from the Pure Magic set. And this is Let Your Dreams Be Your Wings. And we'll just kind of put this down. And then I've got room to write my sentiment, whatever I want, up there at the top. And then this will go on the inside of the card. And there we go. So that is that reverse stenciling using Pure Magic. So thanks for watching, and I will stamp again with you soon. Bye-bye.